Hello, and welcome to Nollywood Tea. Today I am going to recap the movie Better Half. The movie opened with a vibey campus environment where Bella was spotted walking up to Kanye's car. She asked to speak to him. On getting out of the car, Bella jumps on Kanye, kissing him and professing her love for him. Kanye, however, hated this and warned her never to kiss people without their permission. Soon, their lecturer, who goes by the name Sia, passed by. Kanye simply stared at her in awe and adoration before he hastily picked up his bag for class and left Bella behind. Unknowingly to him, his phone mistakenly slipped off his bag. At class, while students concentrated on what Sia was teaching, Kanye was busy writing her name and drawing a heart over it. He obviously was in love with her. At Sia's home, she worriedly paces around while she dials her boyfriend, Kennedy's number. When his number wouldn't connect, her friend and roommate, Muna, assures her that he is probably busy since he's abroad and they have a different time zone. Not too convinced, Sia regardless went to bed. A few minutes later, she received a call from Kennedy. He apologized for making her worry, stating that he lost his phone and had to get a new one. Sia had been Kennedy's online girlfriend for a year. They had never met. She didn't know that Kennedy, who is her boyfriend and claimed to be abroad, is actually Kanye, her student whom she sees every day at school and who is way younger than she is. Back at the campus, Sia announced her students' test scores and promised lunch to the best student. Kanye took the test very seriously and emerged the top scorer. He was excited to go on a lunch date with Sia, but he got disappointed when Sia bought lunch and gave it to him instead. She mocked his attempt at wanting to go on an actual date with her. At home, Kanye had a business discussion with his grandfather regarding purchasing new shares from another company. He found the idea hasty and promised to do his research. At the campus, school was over, and Kanye spotted his favorite teacher, Sia. He walked up to her and asked to carry her bags and give her a lift. Sia, however, rejected his offer and assured him that her taxi was on the way. Kanye, however, mentioned that a beautiful woman like her isn't supposed to be taking taxis when her boyfriend could easily get a car. Sia jokingly suggested taking his own car for herself instead. Soon her taxi came around, and they left. Kanye visited his father's company to inform the board that the shares they wanted to buy from the other company was a scam. He explained how he did his research and discovered that they were on the verge of collapsing. On getting home, his grandfather praised him for doing such a fantastic job and saving the company from impending damage. They further had a conversation about Sia. His grandfather blankly told him he doesn't support his approach at wooing her. He advised him to come clean and make his feelings known to Sia in person, instead of pretending to be some guy abroad who clearly does not exist. Kanye, however, didn't think this was good advice. He said Sia wouldn't want anything to do with him if she knew it was him on the phone all along. Back at Sia's house, she confided in her roommate Muna that Kanye seemed somewhat familiar to her, but she couldn't place where or how she knew him. Muna advised her to be careful with her students. Sia flipped it off and called Kanye a child, saying she doesn't even see him as someone she can date. Shortly after, Kennedy called and they had a hearty conversation of love. A few days later, Sia received a car gift from Kennedy. She was beyond surprised, and her love for him grew harder. Back at the campus, Bella runs after Kanye, seeking his attention. He, however, ignored her and spotted Sia being disturbed by another lecturer named Adedamola. Even though Sia had rejected Adedamola's advances many times, he wouldn't budge. He even got her gifts this time. Kanye was not happy that another man was trying to ask Sia out on a date. Much later, Sia and Kennedy got on a call. Sia had problems with saving money, and Kennedy wisely gave her practical steps on how to spend her money. Sia was amazed and fell even harder for him. In a switch of conversation, Kennedy stylishly brought up the events that transpired at the campus. Sia told him a colleague asked her out and gave her gift, even though she had consistently said no to him. Kennedy, however, told her that her beauty was the reason. According to him, no man in his right senses would see her and not want to ask her out. Sia simply said she doesn't want another man because she already has him. Some days later, Kanye's grandfather visited him to joyfully inform him that he made it to Forbes' list for the under 25 CEOs around the world. Kanye was beyond happy. He worked so hard for it. Due to this, his grandfather then asked him to request for anything and he would give it to him. Back at the campus, Sia was being harassed by Mr. Adedamola, who wouldn't take no for an answer. Kanye happened to be passing by and saw this. He quickly jumped in to save Sia. When Mr. Adedamola left, Sia told Kanye he shouldn't have because she is the one supposed to be looking out for him and not the other way around. Kanye asked Sia what she thought of him. She simply said, "A spoiled child." Kanye immediately defended himself and said he was responsible and not a spoiled child. At home, Kanye talked to his grandfather about proposing to Sia with a $40,000 ring. When asked how he intends to pull the wedding off, since he has been hiding behind the phone for a year, Kanye begged his grandfather to stand in for him when the time was right. His grandfather, however, didn't like this idea. Later that night, Sia got a call from Kennedy, and he proposed to her over the phone. Sia and Muna couldn't believe the worth of the ring. Muna was scared that Kennedy could be some guy who is into illegal stuff to be able to afford such extremely expensive ring. She tried telling Sia to be careful since they haven't met Kennedy before. Sia got defensive and said she loves him regardless, and that's all that matters. Back at the campus, Kanye waited up for Sia to, as usual, assist her with her bags. He noticed she was happy, and Sia was eager to tell him she got engaged. Kanye played it off, acting surprised and wishing her congratulations. Still at the campus, Bella runs after Kanye, asking him why he has been so distant from her lately. He simply said he has been busy. Bella wasn't having any of that. She blankly told him that she has been observing how he constantly stares at Sia and gets closer to her at every given chance. She advised him to stay away from Sia because she was way out of his league. Kanye was surprised. He, however, warned Bella to stay out of his business. Back at home, Kennedy called Sia to talk about the marriage plans. He promised to travel back home so that they can have the wedding. On the day of the wedding, Kennedy didn't show up. He blamed his absence on a flight mishap. This concerned Muna, who made her worries known to Sia. Sia, however, said Kennedy was genuine, and since his father would be standing in for him, she was okay with the arrangements. Meanwhile, Bella visited Kanye to inform him that Sia was getting married to her abroad boyfriend. She further advised him to quench whatever feelings he has left for Sia and try to concentrate on building their own relationship. Kanye wasn't fazed at all. He simply asked Bella to leave. After the bride's price was paid, Sia was taken to the house to go know where her husband's family lives. On getting there, she was surprised to learn that Kennedy, who is supposed to be her husband, is actually Kanye, her student. Sia was beyond pissed.
What are you telling me? This is a sham? I'm married to you? How is that even possible? How? I'm married to my student. My student, a child.
Yeah.
Not a word from you, sir. Not a word.
There's a special kind of love that brings smiles on your face.
I warned you. I warned you about the outcome of this. I warned
down your eyes.
She cried and cried until there were no longer tears left in her eyes. Unknowingly to them, Bella has heard and seen everything that happened. In the following days, Kanye kept dialing Sia's number, but she wouldn't pick up. She apparently doesn't want anything to do with him. Muna was shocked at how everything turned out. She wondered how Kanye was able to pull such a stunt for a whole year without her or Sia knowing. Sia mentioned that Kanye hired a man named Kennedy to go on video calls with her while he did the audio calls. Both friends were baffled, and Sia was clueless as to what to do. Kanye, on the other hand, wasn't feeling too well about the whole situation. It became even worse for him when his maid brought in the newspapers. The news of him getting married to his older lecturer was everywhere now. Sia could lose her job over this, and his company was also at stake. Sia has also gotten the news. She was beyond devastated that her career was probably about to end. Muna wondered how the news got out because no outsider knew about it. Soon, Kanye came over to apologize for all the pains he caused her and still professed his love for her regardless. Sia, however, claimed he was way too young for her, and she was his teacher. When Kanye persisted, Sia yelled at him to leave. Kanye paid Bella a visit to ask why she sold the news to the bloggers. She initially denied it, but later apologized for her stupid act. Kanye was beyond pissed at her. A few days later, the two families came together for a meeting. Sia blankly stated that the marriage was built on lies and that she wants the bride price to be returned because she was no longer interested in the marriage. Kanye wasn't having any of that. He claimed she was his wife and he loved her. So she couldn't just ask for a divorce because she is hurt. Sia, who has had enough, soon walked out. Days later, Sia fainted from dehydration and lack of food. Kanye made it his duty to stay beside her, even though she didn't want him to. He brought her to his house and made sure she was well fed, despite her reluctance. When Kanye's grandfather visited him, he acknowledged his mistakes and informed his grandfather that he was willing to wait for as long as Sia is willing to forgive and accept him. Sia was still sick. Kanye wouldn't leave her side even when the maid offered to look after her just for him to get some rest. When she got better, she told Kanye that their marriage wasn't going to work because it was built on lies. Even though Kanye tried to tell her how much they both love each other, Sia wasn't having any of that. She offered him sex, claiming that was what he wanted in the first place. Kanye was baffled. He tried to explain how the love he feels for her was beyond sex. Sia, regardless, returned his ring and asked for him to forever stay away from her. Thankfully, the scandal didn't affect Sia's job. She went back to campus to teach, and Kanye also started attending classes again. After lectures, he tried to talk to Sia, but she wouldn't give him attention. Kanye was desperate. He had to visit Sia's mother to let her know he loves Sia a lot. Sia's mother advised him to be patient and wait until Sia comes around. Kanye hasn't spoken to Sia in months. He wouldn't eat either. Sia, on the other hand, was still broken but was hoping Kenya would call her. Muna observed this and advised her to go for Kanye if she truly loves him, giving examples of how many women get married to younger men these days. She encouraged her to ignore what people would say and just let love lead. The next day, Kanye sent Sia gifts. She called to ask why he hasn't called for months and is now sending her gifts. He explained he wanted to give her some time. Unknowing to Sia, Kanye was in her house as they spoke on the phone. Sia was happy and surprised to see him. Kanye apologized again for the pains he caused her and confessed his love for her again. They kissed and eventually allowed love to lead. In subsequent days, they hung out a lot, having fun and professing their love for each other. Kanye showered her with more gifts and returned the ring to her. They finally decided to let the whole world know about their love. They started going to campus together, and everyone was sincerely happy for them. Except, of course, Bella, who wasn't happy about it. Here ends today's story, guys. Moral of the story: life is too short. Go for whatever makes you happy. Drop your moral lesson in the comments. Thank you for watching.